There was a time when the name Daniel Ricciardo sparked excitement and sent a buzz through the paddock. However, these days the headlines often tell a different story. But this isn't the full picture of the man they call the Honey Badger. Ricciardo was once an electric driver who had fans on their feet, believing he could be the next big thing after Sebastian Vettel at Red Bull. So let's take a trip back to the moments that made Ricciardo unforgettable, the races where he showed the world why he belonged at the top. 2014 Canadian Grand Prix. Ricciardo's ascent to F1 stardom truly began at the 2014 Canadian Grand Prix. In just his 7th race for Red Bull Racing, the Australian seized his moment in dramatic fashion. The race at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal was a roller coaster of emotions. The race began with the Mercedes duo of Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton dominating proceedings, as had been the case for much of the season. However, as the laps ticked by, both Mercedes drivers began to experience technical issues. Hamilton was forced to retire due to brake failure, while Rosberg struggled with diminishing power. As the leaders faltered, Ricciardo found himself in prime position to capitalise. He had driven a consistent and measured race, keeping himself in contention without taking unnecessary risks. With just a few laps remaining, Ricciardo made his move, passing Sergio Perez and then setting his sights on the struggling Rosberg.
And that chicane, there are 5 laps to go, and there goes Daniel Ricciardo on Sergio Perez, moves up in a second place, goes onto the grass, almost gets hit by Perez. Vettel almost gets down the inside of Sergio Perez. Ricciardo stays in second place, ahead of the Force India, ahead of his teammate Massa.
In a heart-pounding finale, Ricciardo swept past Rosberg on the final straight with just 2 laps to go.
Lapped car, Sergio Perez will get DRS assistant, and look, here comes Daniel Ricciardo on Nico Rosberg. Ricciardo takes the lead in Canada. Unbelievable!
The crowd erupted as the Australian crossed the finish line, securing his maiden Formula One victory in style.
Becomes a new winner in Formula One. The team rush out to applaud him home. Mercedes fail, Red Bull pick up the pieces. It is Daniel Ricciardo that comes home to take the victory.
This win wasn't just about being in the right place at the right time. It showcased Ricciardo's ability to remain calm under pressure and seize opportunities when they presented themselves. 2014 Belgian Grand Prix. Ricciardo's stellar 2014 season continued at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps circuit. Once again, he demonstrated his skill for capitalising on others' misfortunes and his growing racecraft skills. The race began dramatically, with Mercedes teammates Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton colliding on the second lap.
Nico hit me. That's unbelievable, guys. I can't believe he hit me.
This incident resulted in a puncture for Hamilton and front wing damage for Rosberg, throwing the race wide open for opportunists like Ricciardo. Ricciardo's strategy for the race was brilliantly executed. His team had set up his car with low downforce, optimizing it for the long straights and DRS zones of Spa. This setup proved crucial as he swiftly overtook Fernando Alonso's Ferrari on lap 4. Next in his sights was his illustrious teammate, 4-time world champion Sebastian Vettel. Fortune favoured Ricciardo when Vettel made a slight error at the challenging Pouhon corner, running wide onto wet AstroTurf. Ricciardo pounced, showcasing his opportunistic racing style. As the race progressed, Ricciardo found himself leading, but with a charging Rosberg closing in rapidly in the final laps. Despite Rosberg's pace advantage of nearly 2 seconds per lap, Ricciardo remained cool under pressure. He managed his tyres and maintained his focus, crossing the finish line first to claim a well-deserved victory.
Fantastic, unbelievable drive.
Woo! Thanks, big homies.
2 in a row. Nice job, mate.
These 2 wins in his first season with Red Bull were a clear statement. Daniel Ricciardo was a star in the making. 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Now, if there's one race that encapsulates Daniel Ricciardo's ability to turn chaos into triumph, it's the 2017 Azerbaijan Grand Prix in Baku. Starting from 10th on the grid, Ricciardo's chances of victory seemed slim. But what unfolded was one of the most remarkable drives of his career. The race was a wild affair from the start. Ricciardo had to pit early due to debris in his brake ducts, dropping him to 17th place. However, as carnage unfolded ahead of him, Ricciardo kept his cool and steadily moved through the field. A red flag period bunched up the pack, and on the restart, Ricciardo made a stunning move, overtaking 3 cars in one corner at turn 1.
Lance Stroll now makes a move on Felipe Felipe Massa, and Daniel Ricciardo's in that fight, and Nico Hülkenberg as well, and Massa's getting swallowed up by the pack, and down the inside goes Daniel Ricciardo. What a move from the Australian. He's picked up a couple of places in one corner.
This brave manoeuvre put him in podium contention. As his rivals faltered, Lewis Hamilton had a loose headrest.
Vettel has a 10-second stop-go penalty. We're going to fix this headrest, we're going to be back racing.
Sebastian Vettel received a penalty for deliberately colliding with Hamilton, and Valtteri Bottas and Kimi Raikkonen collided. Ricciardo found himself in the lead. From there, he controlled the race masterfully, crossing the line to take an unlikely but well-deserved victory.
We'll see him back on the top step of the podium. Daniel Ricciardo, he wins the Azerbaijan Grand Prix!
2018 Chinese Grand Prix. Now, the 2018 Chinese Grand Prix at the Shanghai International Circuit saw Ricciardo at his overtaking best. Starting 6th on the grid, few would have predicted the Australian to stand on the top step of the podium by the race's end. The race's turning point came when the safety car was deployed and Red Bull made a strategic gamble. They called both Ricciardo and his teammate Max Verstappen in for fresh soft tyres. This decision would prove to be the catalyst for an unforgettable charge through the field. With 20 laps remaining and armed with fresher tyres, Ricciardo began his assault on the leaders. His first victim was Kimi Raikkonen, dispatched with clinical precision. Next up was Lewis Hamilton, whom Ricciardo passed with a breathtaking move that he later described with his characteristic humour. Sometimes you've just got to lick the stamp and send it.
Gaining down that back straight, Ricciardo goes for it from a long way back. This would be sensational if he makes it, and you know what? He has made it!
But Ricciardo wasn't done yet. He continued his charge, making short work of Sebastian Vettel before setting his sights on race leader Valtteri Bottas. In a heart-stopping moment, Ricciardo made his move, squeezing past Bottas in a daring overtake that had fans on the edge of their seats. The victory was Ricciardo at his very best, fearless, precise, and utterly thrilling to watch. This victory, Ricciardo's 6th in Formula 1, was a testament to his exceptional racecraft and ability to perform under pressure. 2018 Monaco Grand Prix. If the Chinese Grand Prix showed Ricciardo's overtaking prowess, the 2018 Monaco Grand Prix demonstrated his ability to nurse a wounded car to victory on the most demanding circuit in Formula 1. Ricciardo came into the weekend determined to make amends for the 2016 race, where a pit stop error had cost him a certain victory. Ricciardo's weekend in Monaco started perfectly. He dominated practice sessions and then delivered a blistering lap in qualifying, securing pole position with a time of 1 minute and 10.81 seconds, a new track record. This put him in the ideal position to control the race from the front, a crucial advantage on the notoriously narrow streets of Monaco, where overtaking is extremely difficult. As the race began, Ricciardo made a clean getaway and settled into a rhythm at the front. However, his real test came on lap 28 when he started experiencing a loss of power. It soon became clear that his car had suffered an MGU-K failure, a critical component of the hybrid power unit. This issue not only robbed Ricciardo of about 25% of his engine's power, but also limited him to using only 6 of his 8 gears.
Yeah, I got no power though. Will it get better?
Negative, Daniel, negative.
Now, on any other track, such an issue would have ended Ricciardo's race, but on the narrow, twisting streets of Monaco, Ricciardo saw an opportunity to salvage victory. For the remaining 50 laps, he drove with incredible precision and control, managing his alien car while keeping the chasing Sebastian Vettel at bay. Lap after lap, Ricciardo hit his marks perfectly, leaving no room for Vettel to capitalise on his power advantage. When Ricciardo finally crossed the finish line to take the checkered flag, it was a victory that meant more than just points. It was redemption for 2016 and a showcase of his exceptional car control and mental strength. This win is widely regarded as one of Ricciardo's finest performances, earning him universal praise from fans and fellow drivers alike. 2021 Italian Grand Prix. Now, after a challenging start to his McLaren career in 2021, many began to question whether Ricciardo had lost his edge. The Italian Grand Prix at Monza provided the perfect stage for him to silence his critics and remind the world of his talents. Ricciardo qualified strongly and then finished 3rd in the sprint race, which put him on the front row for Sunday's Grand Prix. When the lights went out, Ricciardo made a perfect start, taking the lead from Max Verstappen into the first chicane. From there, Ricciardo controlled the race masterfully. Even after his pit stop, he maintained the lead. When Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton dramatically collided and retired from the race,
behind Hamilton into the first chicane once again, it's wheel to wheel, Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out, and they are both out.
Ricciardo found himself leading a McLaren 1-2 with teammate Lando Norris behind him. Despite calls from the team to consider swapping positions, Ricciardo held his nerve and his lead. He crossed the line to take his first victory for McLaren, breaking a personal win drought that stretched back to Monaco 2018.
He's gone to McLaren, he's going to get the victory now. It's McLaren and Ricciardo that win the Italian Grand Prix.
Yeah! He won! But he did it!
This victory was more than just a return to the top step of the podium for Ricciardo. It was a statement of intent, a reminder of his class, and proof that even in the face of adversity, the Honey Badger never gives up. Now, one man who never gives up is Max Verstappen. Click to see Max Verstappen's most ridiculous races.